This is Campson, and I am going to be doing a reading for the new moon coming up. And this is not just about the new moon, this is a theme that I've been saying coming up. So, welcome to my channel. Sit back, get you some tea, get you some Blue Lotus tea, whatever it is that works for you. And we are about to go on a journey together. This new moon energy, and Venus is also in retrograde. We are really learning how to become more of our true selves. We're learning how to be more authentic. We're learning how to separate the personalities that were created by traumas from who we authentically are. And with Venus and being in retrograde in Leo, this is all about you. And with the alignment of the sun and the rising of Sirius, we're feeling major transformational energies right now. And with these transformational energies, we are experiencing our personal karma. We're experiencing anything that we created in this lifetime or past life that created a wound that had not been healed. We also have Chiron, which rules over the wounded healer, right? So that's 19 degrees Aries. Aries is all about who you are, your sense of self. And so we are being definitely excavated. Personally, for me, a lot of things that I thought I healed has been coming back up. And it seems that I need to take more time to myself, less time being busy and doing things. And even though being by myself and reflecting sometimes leads to me unraveling different emotions that I've tried to repress, it allows me to go back out into the world more whole, more grounded. And so I found this time to be very good for working with self-reflection, journaling, shadow work, because you want to have clarity. You want to prepare yourself for this rebirth. Whatever you set intentions for when a new moon is coming, you're planting a seed. I need you all to really hear this. Because the seed that you plant this new moon, this is one of the most powerful new moons in regards of transformation and relationship. But the seed that you plant during this new moon is going to determine your harvest for the rest of this month. So if you have been having things come up where you're noticing you're not as confident as you would like to be, maybe you're noticing that you get embarrassed or you are afraid to do certain things that you really want to do. Maybe you are noticing that you sometimes get needy and clingy in relationships, or maybe you get avoidant and you just get stuck in this space of not really opening up, being afraid to open up. These are some of the themes that a lot of us experience in regards to our personal traumas. And remember, Venus is the morning star. And, in mythological teachings, this is, and a lot of different teachings all around the world, and many cultures view the energy of Venus as the morning star or the evening star. And the evening star is all about doing the inner work and being able to nourish yourself. Easier said than done. Sounds so easy, doesn't it? But when you actually start to give yourself more nourishment and more love and do more inner work, what happens is you gain clarity on yourself, which gives you clarity on the people in your life. So relationships may be changing, and it's for the better, whether they're ending or you're having to go back to the drawing board and reset the way that you are relating in your relationships. that's happening, and it's really for our benefit, because relationships has been a huge area where we were miseducated, and we're having to unlearn to relearn how to be in relationship. We also have this energy of the morning star. So this is when Venus is beginning to rise again and come out of the shadows that she's in now. And this is going to be more action oriented focus. This is going to be more so of what are you doing externally? How are you creating bonds and connections with people? But first, you do the inner work so that your relationships can be in alignment with the inner work that you have done. And I find that a lot of us are watching videos about narcissism because we're trying to identify certain things. We're watching videos about our love attachment and inner child healing. If you're drawn to personal development, these things have become very important. So I'm going to delve into this, and I'll be using a new deck today. And this deck, I will be asking questions around some long-standing wounds and ways to overcome some of the relationship blocks. And this is every relationship, any kind of relationship, beginning with the relationship with yourself. So how can we be better aligned with our hearts? Because a lot of us find comfort living in our head, being logical reasoning, and we try to control life to make sure there is no uncertainty. But life is just really uncertainty. It's, life is usually very uncertain. You cannot predict everything, especially now. So being able to go with the flow, being able to have grace, mercy, and compassion with yourself, that's something that is embodied by Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin is the teaching of compassion and mercy. And so going forward, we want to be able to be more courageous, more confident, more in alignment. And that happens when we are able to do the inner work. So if some of your relationships, things that's coming up for you and it's starting to seem like maybe you do have some trauma bonds. Maybe some of your relationships are trauma bonds where the way that you connected with one another was through a shared experience, through a similar trauma, being able to relate to each other in that way. Now, that's not a bad thing per se, but it's because nothing is good or bad, right? However, how I need to be able to identify these things moving forward so I'm not repeating the same subconscious patterns that I'm completely unaware of. That's why it's subconscious, right? And so as Venus is traveling through the underworld, it's permeating the planet with the energy of more awareness. And awareness is the answer for everything, because once you become aware, once you know what you're dealing with and have clarity, you can deal with it. And I just have to say, a lot of relationships were created in a very illusionary energy, and a lot of us got into relationships out of fear of being alone. We got into relationships out of being tired of being alone. And being able to accept that it wasn't just love the reason why I got into external relationships. Maybe it was a lack of wholeness, a lack of love, a lack of sense of security in the world inside of myself that determined my relationships. So I want to do something different, because personal development is very helpful, but when you combine personal development and some form of spiritual guidance to divine the time that you are in, you're able to really get your hands like on the horns, and you're more able to be innovative and prepared for whatever happens in life. So I'm going to combine the two. This is something new that I wanted to do, because this is how I have been healing and going through my process of personal development, self-realization, and self-actualization, and knowing that I am an extension of Source and living as if I know who I am. The time right now is for us to be able to act like we know who we really are. So some signs of trauma bonds could be intense emotional attachment, where the individuals have an extreme or unhealthy attachment to each other. And it might feel a little obsessive or codependent, very consuming. And the next one would be an inability to let go. So, despite the presence of repeated negative experiences or abuse, sometimes we struggle to break free from those relationships or relationship patterns. You might find it difficult to establish boundaries or distance yourself. Healthy autonomy is key because there isn't a relationship school. And because most of us were raised by people who had just as much trauma as anybody, as we do, nobody really taught us how to be in relationship and do relationships. So that's okay. We're learning how to be interdependent in our relationships versus being hyper codependent and enmeshed and only can be happy if the other person is happy or making you happy, because some of us just lost our sense of self and lost our passion and weren't able to go after our dreams, whether it was because you had a family and had children or more responsibilities. But a lot of us are starting to feel the pressure of that because there's a part of you that wants to come alive. There's a part of you that wants to be able to be your whole authentic self and not be worried about being abandoned, rejected, or judged. Another sign of a trauma bond could also be like these cyclic patterns that just keep coming around, where you notice that there are these intense periods, maybe of love and even love bombing, right? Just like giving each other gifts. Maybe you overextend yourself and overcompensate. And then conflict follows, or manipulation, dishonesty, some form of betrayal. There is no shame in any of these things, and none of these things mean that anybody is a bad person, even if you're dealing with narcissism. This is all an effect of a toxic culture that many of us have been groomed and conditioned by. And because for the first 7 years of our life, as our root chakra is being established, we absorbed our environments. So there's no shame in that. It was nothing we could do to change that. However, we have the opportunity to change it now. The next symptom of trauma bond is rationalizing, defending the toxic behavior of others or even your own self, especially yourself. The focus is the self. So when I do talk about narcissism, and my own experiences and what I have learned after going no contact, I'm going to be speaking from that place. And the reason I haven't really delved deeply into it, because I want to make sure that there's a certain level of healing that I have done with myself, so that I'm not speaking in a way where it seems as if anyone we notice with toxic traits, we label them as a bad person. And that's something that we're getting away from as well. It just doesn't really benefit us to judge one another. Discernment is something totally different. So, when you're rationalizing, what happens is the individuals involved, they start to make excuses and justify things, because that's probably the maladaptive trait we learn as kids and growing up. And so you try to focus on the positives, and this is when you are in relationship with someone's potential, but you're not in relationship with that person. You're in relationship with the idealized version of that person you're hoping that they'll be, and you can find yourself actually rationalizing some of the things that have happened. And for anybody who had childhood abuse or dysfunctional family, this is a very normal thing to fall into. Fear of abandonment could be another sign of trauma bonds. Feelings of insecurity, fear of being alone, fear of not being important in somebody else's life. That's a big one, because the more we're figuring out who we are, what our true soul mission is on this planet, and the spiritual office we're being called to take up, the less we will be focused on certain aspects of our relationship. And so maybe partners will feel less important to you because you're starting to see the importance of cultivating self-care and self-love, which requires time and effort to eat better, to find the supplements that you need to support you. This takes a lot of time and energy, and sometimes when you're doing this deep transformative work on yourself, you're not going to have as much energy for your partner. So this would be a good time to just communicate and let people know that you're in relationships with, like, I'm really having to focus on healing myself more, and I may not have as much time or energy to dedicate to our, the way that we connect, but I just wanted to let you know so that you're able to be aware of what's happening with me. And in that way, you're creating a bond around your healing journey instead of creating a bond around your pain and suffering. Okay. So another one could be losing yourself, a loss of your personal identity. This is the sense of self. Sometimes, especially for us women who have kids, like, who are we when we not being a mama, Who are we outside of providing and doing for our family? What do we enjoy? What do we love? What lights us up inside? What happens is when you have codependent tendencies, you will often base your sense of self-worth on your ability to care for other people and to be able to cater to your partner. And your own needs and desires and even your interests and hobbies may take a back seat. And over time, this leads to a loss of your sense of self, loss of your individual identity, and a disconnection, and it turns into resentment over time because you will begin to feel as if whoever it is you're in relationship with that maybe suppresses you or isn't comfortable with some of your emotions and perceptions, and you just shut down and close off, and this is the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And so let's just say you've been doing those things in regards to the trauma that you experience and the ways that you learn to adapt and navigate life without getting abandoned and rejected and being judged. When you start pulling away from those things, you may trigger abandonment wounds in someone else as well. So the best approach for this is compassion. Compassion is something that I find neutralizes a lot of those intense, more negative emotions. And it's okay to go in it for a while if you need to sit with it to process it. But if you're going in it and you're not able to pull yourself out of it, you don't know how. You don't have a proactive plan for what am I going to do the next time that I'm triggered? How will I deal with uncertainty of life? You want to have a plan beforehand. You don't wait till the crises occur, till the changes in life occur. You create a plan for yourself. And so we'll be discussing some of the things that you can do to help with that. Also, a lack of assertiveness is another sign of a trauma bond where it's difficult for you to express your needs. It's difficult for you to express boundaries. And maybe it's hard for you to say no. Maybe you find yourself saying yes when you really want to say no, but you're afraid to. You don't want to be perceived as being uncaring. You don't want to be seen as, not being helpful. And I just had something happen today where that emotion came up in me. And this all stems from a fear of being rejected and a fear of upsetting your partner. And as a recovering codependent myself, that's something very strong for me. And I even found myself filtering my topics and things that I would discuss on my platforms through the lens of I want to make sure that I don't do anything that disturbs my partner's emotions. And that's me holding myself accountable for the way someone else responds to me. I'm not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. It does not serve us or them to do that, because at the end of the day, if love is truly real and it's truly there, and if you are meant to be in the dynamic that you are in, no matter what difficulty life brings, you will find a way to rise above it. Now, the next one could be isolation, where you're just spending more time alone or with yourself or just not really socializing. We go through dark nights of the soul. And so, sometimes it could be a mixture of a couple of things. But when you're going through this period, and you're focusing more on healing yourself, it's good for you to have that time alone, but it's also good for you to be able to go out and allow that light that you are cultivating inside of your heart to shine in such a chaotic, dark world. We need that right now. And this energy of this new moon is calling us forward to step more into our light and our power. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to read to you from the Sacred Rebel deck first, so that you can get a meditation practice, a visualization, journal prompts that you can use to help you. And this Sacred Rebel deck is actually on sale on our website, so feel free to go check that out. I love working with the Sacred Rebel guidebook because it has so many helpful things in it. And I have a surprise because I'm going to be working with the Sibyls. The Sibylline prophecies were created by Sibyls, and these are the Mamawatas. These are those with the gift of foresight, the ability to have premonitions, to dream walk. And so, yes, I'm going to be sharing that last. So sit tight and let's get into it. What message do you have for us that can help us to be more authentic? After the storm. After the storm. Yep. After the storm. It's time for us to focus on what happens after the storm. Even if whatever storms of life you may be in just began, this is an ideal time for you to focus on who you're going to be and plan for what you're going to do after the storm. Because while you're in the storm, it is so easy to spiral into a negative mindset and to get stuck in that negative mindset, not able to see the miracle, the beauty, the power, the strength, and the growth being offered. There's a thunderstorm about. It is neither headed your way, or maybe it's just passing through now. Don't make a thunderstorm mean more than what it is. You don't have to fear it. You might even feel excitement about it. After all, a thunderstorm is just nature's way of gathering energy together that needs to be released. With the release of tension, relief, and freedom soon follow, often with a fresh perspective and perhaps the gift of a promising, hopeful vision for your future. Perhaps the particular storm building within you or around you is causing you to quake in your boots. It might be a storm of building emotions, threatening to erupt or already exploding seemingly beyond your conscious control. You might feel an uncomfortable sense of emotional or psychological pressure within, and if something doesn't happen and soon, you fear you might just burst. You may also sense that these are forces operating beyond your control, and you will be right. There is, in life and in the creative process, a need to allow for wild storms. There will be those precious moments of peace beforehand and the release and revitalization that follows. Yet, the storm is in the middle. The storm in the middle is essential. It is a natural part of the creative process. Without this building and releasing of energy, we would suffer from boredom and stagnancy. You may prefer the excitement of the storm or the fresh open feeling that accompanies its clearing. You may find it confronting to be faced with the power of something in which you can only participate rather than control. Either way, the storm wisdom offers you the gift of bringing things to a head. and clearing them away so that the energy can be freed from a pattern that has had its day and is ready to become something new. Sometimes the pressures that fuel the storms of our lives have been building up for a long time without us being fully aware of it. It might be pressure from our own minds, creating unnecessary burdens upon us, such as burdens of fear or self-doubt. It could be pressure to appear a certain way, or to fight against life out of a mistaken belief that this is necessary for survival. Sometimes pressure is little more than the impossible dream of perfection and a need to gently or even with great dynamic flourish. Cast that aside so that you can dare to be what you are and create from your heart. Even if you are not sure what the storm is about, don't lose confidence in your ability to successfully bear its progression until you are safely at the other side of the experience. Even amongst the chaos of change and in the moments of anxiety, know that you have so much light and trust in your heart that you can see the storm is happening, but it is a passing process and nothing that you need to worry about. If you can't sense the storm yet, this oracle is important for you. The storm is coming, and you can, if you wish, feel the beautiful, exhilarating gift of it as you are empowered to cast aside what has been and receive the gift of a fresh new take on things. Your confidence is to remain intact. Whatever is happening or soon will happen in your life, this storm of sorts is transformational and supportive of your growth. It is going to clear away cobwebs and free you, open you to new creative energy in life. Remember, there can be no rainbows without a little rain. This oracle is also confirmation that if you have been praying for help, your prayers have been heard, and the great creative intelligence of our universe is responding to you, stepping in and shaking things up so that the situations can be sorted out according to a greater wisdom. So let go, hold only to your inner self, and allow everything to be cleansed in the sacred storm. For a lot of us, controlling our life and our situations, that's the way that we created a sense of safety. And now that we are being shaken, it's for our fruits that we may not know that we have to finally shake loose so that we can receive them from the spirit realm. While you are in the midst of it, the 3D matrix is a social construct formed of beliefs, values, expectations, and societal standards that are actually have been destroying our sense of self. And so at this time, the chaos is at an all-time high because those who are healers, those who are called to do this work and be love workers and to bravely own wherever your truth is and to live your life from your heart, if we aren't transmuting the darkness that we see, we become victims of and non-participants in our unconsciousness. We don't know that we're actually offering our energy through our attention to something that is not serving us or humanity. What is going to reduce the darkness in the world, the unnecessary suffering and chaos, is the alchemy of those who are called to do this great work of healing, reclaiming, recalibrating, resetting your sense of self. Now, here's a healing process that you can use to help you to embody this. Find a place where you can be alone and have some privacy, either inside or perhaps outside in nature. That's really been helping me lately. And when you are ready, you can repeat the following after me. And this is really good to do with your arms up, and open to the sky, because a lot of us, we live collapsed and closed. For those of us who have wounded child archetypes of abandonment or betrayal, or maybe we carry the genetic imprint of shame or guilt. We often, our posture and the way we're holding our body changes based on that energy. And so this, by opening your hands and holding them up to the sky, just doing that alone, you feel yourself start to open. And you don't know that your heart is closed until you start to actually do something that opens your heart more to receive. So you can repeat after me. Storms so wild, storms of grace, I call your blessing into my heart now. May I release and let go. May I be revitalized and grow. I open up my heart to you now. Storms of grace, I stand my ground as I allow your magic to cleanse and surround. Any outgrown energy which I no longer need, anything which will sap or deplete rather than feed. Storms of grace, merciful earth, with your help, I experience rebirth. Breathe that in and place your hands at your heart. You can do prayer position. You're going to bring the energy that you just called down into your hands. Our palms have chakras in them. You're going to bring that energy down and put it into your heart, and close your eyes for a moment. Breathing in and out. Become aware of yourself, your body, how you feel, what's happening inside of your body. Resist judging it. If you notice tension or pain or discomfort, resist judging it. Just let it be there without giving meaning to it. And from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, you are bathed in this energy. And you can say this after me. Through divine creative genius, this is now so. So mote it be. Now, if visualizing colors helps, carry that color with you to embody the healing work that you just completed. All right. Now we're going to go deeper. This is the Sibyl's Oraculum, and it is the oracle of the black doves of Africa. I find this deck to feel like shadow work whenever I do it. And you all know here, shadow work is so important. It's one of the most important aspects of the spiritual journey. Without shadow work, you will forever manifest your shadow outside of you and not know how it connects within. The key to changing anything in the world that you can feel, touch, see, sense, smell, taste is by working on the inner, because your inner world always creates your outer world. And so this goes into the inner world. And I'm going to tell y'all now, I cried so much because it was some stuff that I had repressed and compartmentalized in a shadow of just things that I didn't want to feel. I just didn't want to feel it. It hurted to acknowledge it. However, the most self-loving thing to do is to acknowledge the triple A, the A team that I talk about. Acknowledge. First, you must become aware. Once you become aware, you acknowledge. That is a process of accepting. And once you do those two things, the alchemy begins. So that's what we're going to be doing together. And like I said, this deck has been a really powerful way that I've been able to train myself to see things different in my life. And it can be difficult to see things as they are, especially if you created perspectives and filters to navigate your life. When it's time to release that filter, when that way of perceiving things is no longer serving you, you're going to feel it, and everything inside of you is going to scream at you. The more you ignore your ego, and that's the wounded inner child inside of you, y'all already know. When your kid, 2 years old, 3 years old, they going through their terrible 2s and 3s, it's not much you can say when they want a toy at the store and you don't get it. They're going to be reactive. And a lot of us are reactive in that way. We're adults, but we're like wearing the suits of adults, but we're really children inside. And it's no shame in that. And I think a lot of people maybe are uncomfortable with that because it's like, no, I'm on my grown man. I'm on my grown woman. But no human on this planet, doesn't have an inner child still inside of them. Just because you age chronologically, it doesn't mean emotionally that you are maturing to that level. And this is what integration helps to do. So I'm going to pull a black card first. And the black card is going to represent a court issue we're being called to pay attention to. And after I pull that, I'm going to pull a copper card to see how is this being projected into our reality. And then I'm going to pull a blue card, which is going to let us know what action can we take to remedy this situation. And last, I'm going to pull a red card. And this is going to go deeper into the actions. And it's going to be the culmination of all of the first previous cards. So we're going to start off with the black card. And then we're going to do the copper card. And the blue card and the red card. All right. A lot of us are feeling as if our life is changing faster than we can keep up with it. There are many distractions and always something going on, and we have feeds all day long projecting information at us from every direction of life. What is the most important thing for us to pay attention to right now? I'm going to go ahead and pull the copper card. Okay. Now I'm going to pull the blue card. And I already have my red card. All right. Now we can get into it. Wow, this spread right here says a lot. So we have rhythm, contentment, optimism, and purity. All right. The eyes are the source of rhythm. The key symbols. The lute was a commonly used instrument during rituals throughout the ancient Mediterranean and symbolizes higher states of consciousness. The hare represents death and resurrection. The ibis represents knowledge and wisdom. All of these represent the rhythm of life. Marcode or Baal Marcode was the Phoenician Canaanite god of healing and dance. The Romans also worshiped him and sometimes identified him with Jupiter. Apollo was the Greco-Roman god of music, prophecy, light, and healing. Rhythm is often associated with music, but the concept may be just as aptly applied to one's spiritual state. Great emphasis is placed on completing something one has started, but few realize the key to reaching one's goal without stress and strain. The harder we try to force an issue, the more resistance appears to inevitably frustrate and exhaust us. Sure, the goal may eventually be reached, but the toll it takes on the mind, the body, and or spirit to get there may take a long time, if ever, to fully recover from. I want y'all to really hear this, because this goes right back to what we were talking about as far as any of the insecure love attachments, the way that we create our relationship with love and intimacy itself. And so if you have a tendency to burn out, this time is for you to focus and rest and heal yourself. Because the more time go by, the harder it is to reach that level of homeostasis. This effort is not only unnecessary, it is foolish, especially if we consider natural rhythm to be the ability to sustain the right momentum despite sudden changes and pauses in the environment. We don't want to reach our goals, and it's taking an enormous toll on our mind, body, and soul. Golly. Okay. I look like it's time for me to write another rap. Okay, so the natural world provides wonderful examples of how different forms of life continue to thrive because of their ability to find a way to reach their destination, despite the appearance of an altered course. This does not mean that the altered course always has to be challenging. In fact, there are just as many times that we allow our rhythm to be broken in the pursuit of something we know is right for us for a happy reason. It is especially important at these times to reflect on the wisdom of changing the beat in mid-step by questioning our motives for doing so. There are times in life when we learn new information and intuit that our rhythmic pattern must be changed for the greater good. You will know if the feeling is genuinely coming from your higher self if you will feel absolutely no regret if the new thing or relationship did not work out, and you will not even think of returning to the old thing or the old relationship. So if it's genuine and it's your higher self, your divine self, you won't feel regrets. You will feel 100% aligned with what's best for you. And a lot of relationships right now are changing. A lot of exes might be popping up. It's not always beneficial. I wouldn't recommend starting a relationship right now. We'll probably wait till Venus comes out of retrograde, because sometimes we change our mind. So take it easy and be patient with yourself, and stop and ask yourself, like, do I need to change mid-step? Is it time for me to choreograph the way that I'm approaching this in a different way? It is so easy to get excited over something new that makes us feel good that we may abandon our destiny in exchange for a temporary rush and then regret it later. The same is true when we lose our rhythm because we feel it would be too difficult to continue due to either stagnation or sudden obstacles to progress. This is not the time to quit without first examining how you feel about yourself if you throw in the towel and abandon your vision. To succeed, it is imperative to precisely identify your objectives and how far you are willing to go to make it happen. That's the easy part. The more challenging part is identifying what you will rely on to maintain your rhythm, no matter what, as you pursue your goal. There may be many interruptions, both good and bad, on your journey, so make sure that whatever you choose as your main source of assistance in maintaining focus on the bottom line fits the following criteria. So if you want to take some notes here, it would be a good time for you to do that so that you can come back to this, because again, this is the reading for the new moon to help you set your intentions coming up. And that's what my heart wants. My heart wants to be able to share the processes that I have found to be transformative for us, and sharing them with you. So always available. All right. Always available. These are the bottom lines, that you can shift your focus to intuit whether or not you are moving at the rhythm that you're being called to, whether or not you are dancing to the song that your soul is singing. Are you dancing to other people's pressure on you? So always available. All right. Always accessible. Cannot be lost or damaged by any means. Encourages faith and constant centering on remembering your purpose. Do you rely on these things? And if not, do some of these resonate to start relying on to use them for your goal? Are you always available to yourself? Do you check in with yourself and see how you feeling and what you need? Because sometimes you will notice that you rush or agree to do more than you can handle because of external pressure, not because of you feel like you should be available for them. And sometimes if being available for other people mean not being able to be available for yourself, then it's good for you to choose you. This time right now is teaching us to choose us. So here are some questions that you can consider. Are you full of enthusiasm to begin something new, but have not considered the hard work required to do it well? The next question. Is the sudden feeling of ecstasy or hopelessness going to last long enough to really justify the decisions to change the rhythm of your life? Is the sudden feeling of ecstasy or hopelessness going to last long enough to really justify the decision to change the rhythm of your life? Can you justify it? Is it a short-term, impermanent feeling of ecstasy that you're basing your decisions off of? Is it just a temporary hopelessness that you are basing your decisions off of? Are you using those feelings to justify your decisions? And is that change in alignment for you? The next one would be, are you spiritually fortified to face any challenges that may appear? Do you have your spiritual military strategy ready to go? Are you meditating? If not, it would be miraculous if you started meditating every day for at least 5 minutes, even if it's like the short visualization that I walked you through. And we have meditations here on the channel that you can use, and they're very powerful meditations given to me that I use for myself. And it just amazes me how available spirit is to share information to the heart, to share with other people to better their lives. So are you meditating? Because that is going to improve your life. And if meditating is difficult, or having ideas, or you need it to be a little bit more fun, or have more information about different techniques, we do have a meditation course that's available. It's a 10-day meditation. And once you get to that 10th day, meditation can go from something that you have a hard time doing to something that you actually feel off when you don't do. And that's the space that you want to be in. You want your spiritual practices to fortify you so that you are not avoiding making decisions and moving forward because you're concerned about the challenges. Okay? And a lot of times we don't move forward with our plans, with our dreams and our goals because we don't feel ready. We don't, and maybe you aren't, but check in with that. Getting ready would be creating my list. What is my to-do list? For me, creating your day-to-day routines and recreating them throughout these different periods of these energies that we're being offered, that's going to help you reach your goal. Do your routine need to be freshened up? When was the last time you switched up your spiritual routine? So for me, my altars, I have probably 7 altars in the house, and I pray at all of them for different things. Every day, I meditate every day. I journal every day. I take vitamin D 3000 and vitamin K2 every day, and methylfolate to help balance out my emotions. I use ashwagandha tea to help my nervous system to heal so that I can receive these activations without it overwhelming me to the point where I just pull away from my own spiritual journey. And then when you do that, life is just going to have some type of crisis or something happen to pull you out of that. That's to help us. But it does not have to be the most difficult path to get there. At night, I drink my blue lotus tea, which has like 8 herbs in it to help with relaxation, sleep, anxiety, stress. These are like the top things that help me to transform. And if you would like for me to help you create a routine specifically for you and your spiritual needs, you can book a reading with me, and I would love to be able to do that. Okay, I'm back. Now, the next question that you can ask yourself would be, are you overly reliant on artificial or external means to maintain your rhythm, to maintain your sense of self, to maintain the way the world see you? Is anything artificial? Is anything shallow, externally that you use to maintain your rhythms? This is just for you to notice. The next one would be, are you continuing to dance even though the beat of your life is becoming monotonous? It's a time for you to change things up. Also, in what ways may you be seeking to control the natural rhythm of life at this time? Okay. So those are some questions that you can ask yourself to be able to do this self-reflection. And, it's really easy for us to get stuck like that. It's really easy for us to get in the rhythm of life outside of us and not checking in with ourselves. And I know for me, I have the tendency to just go, 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 go. And I'm not listening to my own body's rhythm, And if that's you as well, and you're feeling tired more than usual, this is a good time for you to slow down and give your body whatever your body needs. Now, one day, I will find this card. I will find this card. These are not in any particular order. So I'm going to find this card. Maybe somebody can make me some Jeopardy music while I'm looking. What was it? Do 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 do. Hey, look like I'm gonna be looking and looking. Hold on. What's going on here? Okay, so the next card that I pulled is contentment. And it says contentment is criminal to those who worship suffering. Contentment is criminal to those who worship suffering. The temple of Aset, Isis at Pompeii represents safety and comfort. It was not a big temple, but it undoubtedly served countless devotees of the goddess who were seeking aid and advice. The religio-mythological association of this card is Meret. And Meret was the goddess of the treasury and merriment, which is what this whole season is about. How many ways can we find that make us happy and light us up? To be truly happy, we must learn the art of being completely honest with ourselves. Woo! Shadow work. If we feel something is not right, and we repeatedly try to convince ourselves otherwise, then mediocrity is all we can ever hope to achieve. Perhaps we harbor soul-stunting beliefs such as, we can't have it all, don't rock the boat, or we would rather be safe than sorry. But if you reflect on these axioms, it will not take long to see how disempowering they really are. By pretending to be content, you not only betray yourself, but also set in motion all the negative effects that you would experience if you had betrayed another person. Lying to yourself only increases the number of things for you to lie to yourself about. And it ensures anger, remorse, and shame. Beware the diminishing theories that promote the idea that there is a nobility in lack. This is untrue for all but a few small number of ascetics in the world. However, even ascetics have made a choice to experience lack. So they are not suffering as the choice to do without was not made in the spirit of settling or giving up. If you are not satisfied with an aspect of your life, do not allow the ego to convince you to play the martyr. There is no greater cause than your development. Don't fear being wrong, fear being afraid. Some of the divine meaning of this is, if you get this card, you are choosing to smile on the outside, but you probably are suffering silently on the inside. And you are being warned to take the necessary steps to change the situation, or you may risk missing out on rich opportunities and untold adventures. And this is for everybody. I do these readings for all signs with the collective readings. If you refuse to heed, one day you will feel the anger, remorse, and or shame that all betrayers must ultimately feel. But you will have no one to blame but yourself. So this is, again, that call to release codependency, because if your sense of happiness is attached to how content other people are with you, you won't be content no matter what you do. And, I think it is really easy for this to happen when you're awakening spiritually, because there's so many things that you're thinking about. There's so many things you're noticing. There's so many things that you're feeling, maybe in ways that you never felt before. And so this season is calling for us to stop bonding in our struggles, stop bonding around lack, stop identifying with anything that causes shame, And you want to take this opportunity, if you are listening to me, like this is the opportunity now for you to do things that are going to fill you up with love and excitement for life again. And a lot of us, we just lost our excitement for life, and you can get that back. This is the time for you to take your energy back. And if people around you are used to you saying yes when you want to say no, it may be an adjustment period for them. But trust that Spirit is going to take care of them on their journey as well, so that you don't feel like you have to be responsible for others' emotional reactions to you. We're all responsible for the way that we respond to our triggers. Nobody else. Now, the next card, so these are the actions that you can take. And the next one that I pulled was optimism. And this new moon is all about optimism. Optimism is the flag bearer that rides ahead of an army of victorious thoughts. This is creating your world with your thoughts. Some of the symbols are the flowering garden of cypress, ferns, and orange trees. They represent optimism, abundance, and bliss. And that's what I put in the sacral chakra potion. This potion, it just blew my mind how everything that we need is here. And I do deal with depression, so using any aromatherapy is helpful. I just put all of the aromatherapies together that I use that correlate with the sacral chakra, and that's what's in this potion, among crystals and a lot of other things. But this is the time now. If you need more optimism, maybe working with essential oils and crystals may not resonate with you, but you can work through it with what I'm about to read. Religio-mythological association is Spes, S-P-E-S, Spes, or Spes, was the Roman goddess of hope, and she had no priesthood but was venerated in public and private ceremonies. The Church of San Nicola in Carceri, Italy, is the site of a temple that was dedicated to Juno, Spes, or Spes, and Janus as well. The meaning behind this is that it is time now to believe that things will work out for the best and go forward with no doubt to the contrary. This is essential now to put this reading in motion. Take the doubt, put it in your pocket if you got it and you have to, but you continue to move forward, taking the steps, and it's going to work out best for you. I need you to know that. Everything that you went through brought you to this point now. And everything that you're going through now, trust that it is taking you to where you desire to arrive. The last card was purity. Purity. Now, purity, it says if your conscience doesn't respect you, eventually no one will. This scene depicts a room where someone has just been initiated into the mysteries. Their hair has been ritually cut, offertory incense burned, and the clean white linen cloth is ready to be put on. The initiate has been or will be told the rules and what is and is not permissible for them to engage in. This card represents higher morality and the acquisition of or a return to one's ethics regarding the situation. Tanit, which was the Phoenician Libyan lunar goddess of heaven, astrology, and weaving, her name means serpent lady, and her temple in Carthage was called the altar of the heavenly virgin. She was worshipped in Spain, Sardinia, Malta, and Sicily, and Romans identified her with Juno Lucina. A purification ceremony in honor of Tanit, called Awisu, takes place by the sea and is still celebrated by the Amazigh in Libya and Tunisia today. In August, participants enter the sea. Look at the time period. This is August. They enter the sea at sunrise with their clothing, blankets, and animals to be blessed with prosperity and protection by submerging 7 times. The ritual concludes with several days of feasting with family and friends. It's time for us to enjoy our friends and our family. We've been on this journey and working so hard to improve ourselves. I hope that the reason you resonate with this channel is because of that. And if you've been doing that work, enjoying yourself is what's going to seal the deal. Asar or Osiris was the Libyan and Comitian god of death and resurrection. According to the myth, Asar was born first in the heavens as one of the children of Ra and then resurrected by his wife Aset after he was killed by his brother Set. Asar was associated with the Dad or the Jed, D-J-E-D, symbol representing stability and possibly the Libyan god Dadu or Dadun. The meaning behind this is to make sure that you remain morally clean to whatever that is for you. And any attempts to be sneaky or underhanded or to otherwise play dirty, it's going to ultimately end in failure. So this is not the time of confrontation, being overly aggressive or passive aggressive. If you tend to be jealous or possessive and controlling because of some of the wounds, abandonment wounds, this is a time now for you to be honest about that and for you, again, to be proactive. Decide, how am I going to respond to things that usually trigger me to get out of the new character I'm creating so that you can create new verses for yourself to live by. We are creating our own mythology with our life. Are you proud of what you are creating? And if you are not, you can always start over. And I'm speaking from experience. I have started over many times and it will not be the last. There is another rebirth and a restart coming for me as well. So even though I'm sitting here now sharing this with you, I'm at a fork in the road as well in some ways where I know it's time for me to just confront whatever it is and allow myself to surrender to this process. And if I have to start again, if I have to go back to the basics, I'm willing to do whatever it takes because I truly believe in myself and it's time for me to act like it. It's time for you to act like it. So this reading has been brought to you for the new moon, but anytime you find this, you take what resonates and leave what doesn't. If you would like to book a reading with me, my schedule is open and my readings are on sale for $88 right now for an hour. So book that reading. It's so much that we can do in an hour and I can help you create your routine, whatever it is that you need. And I also have the 10-day meditation course. I'm going to put that link below and it's on sale. It's only $4.44. Because I know that if we can come together and meditate and spend time nurturing our spiritual selves, then we can change the world by changing ourselves. And so the goal for me is to provide ways of doing that. And also we have our Blue Lotus tea. And that new product contains 8 herbs, just lavender and peppermint and valerian root and mullein and chamomile. I'm so grateful to experience plants in this sacred way. And with someone who has difficulties falling asleep or staying asleep, this has helped me and it has helped my dreams to become more vivid. And I'm more ready to open my heart in ways I was afraid to. And I've been taking more risk and feeling more confident. The plant medicines on this planet are here to help us heal. And Chiron would be at this degree in Aries for probably up to 2 years from now. So we will all be feeling our wounds and we will all be aware of the areas that we are being called to heal. All right, I'm getting off. Check out the Patreon. All of the things that I cannot say to you here is there, and it holds the vault to every past ceremony that we've done. And you can do these and have your follow along ceremony at home. And I want to thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please, it helps me so much. So make sure that you do that. And if something about this reading stuck out to you, comment below and let me know. What was your biggest takeaway? Like, I love getting feedback because it helps me to be of service to others. Namaste, Namaste.